Braw and the Brave with me, Lisa Kennedy. And first off, you know what I'm going to say. If you're not already following us on the socials, I would be thrilled if you did. We are on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, and there's going to be some more like behind the scenes footage coming your way. So if you're interested in what I got up to behind the scenes making this podcast, watch out for that. So please go and follow us, and also on YouTube as well. And if you are keen on being a Patreon subscriber, I would love you forever. And you even get a Braw and the Brave mug. So I mean, it's worth that. You get a Braw and the Brave mug. What else do you want? But before I introduce my guest this week, I am excited to say that this episode is sponsored by the amazing Show Off musical theatre competition. Now, the amazing Go Kids Performing Arts School, which is based in Wishaw, are running this amazing competition for young people to show their talents, their musical theatre talents. And there is a star-studded judging panel, which I think the next one includes Jane McCarry. I mean, hello, Isa from Still Game. So I think the next event is the 19th of April, but they do run regularly. So if you have a musical theatre star in your house and you want them to get onto the stage and enjoy their passion for musical theatre with like-minded young people, then check them out. And all the details will be in the show notes. So thank you so much to Show Off musical theatre competition for sponsoring this episode. You can just tell my energy just goes, the shoulders drop after I have to do that bit to camera. I am thrilled that in real life I have in the studio, here at Up Next Studios, Scott Meenagh! Yes! I was like, you're actually real. I feel like we've known each other for ages, forever, but we've never met in real life. That's wild, isn't it?
It's mad. I feel like nowadays it's completely acceptable to kind of meet people twice.
No,
because
totally.
you follow people's journeys, you keep up with all their ins and outs of life, and then you finally meet them in the flesh. So
it's so lovely to see you in real life. I'm so chuffed that you're here.
Oh, thank you. The pleasure's mine.
I mean, so we spoke, the story goes a lot for the podcast in this sense. Like, there was a lot of people that I connected with during the pandemic, which I was so, what a tonic it was to speak to people like yourself during that time. I just got so much from your story and from your energy, and that was just through a Zoom screen. But we connected online and we had a chat during the pandemic, and we're 6 years on. I mean, what you've achieved in that 6 years alone, never mind prior to that. You came in here and you were like, you're the busiest person. I'm like, no, you definitely win that trophy. Where does your kind of zest, your thirst, your energy, your appetite for life come from, Scott? Because I feel as if you're just somebody that just grabs life and goes with it.
Thank you. Yes, I mean, my wife would probably agree because it never stops, and she's probably the same one who's going, he's real. Yeah, I promise he actually exists because it's recently more so I've been out of the country a lot.
Yes.
But yeah, I think I'm very fortunate. You know, I've always had this kind of discussion with coaches and staff I work with about kind of motivation, and you know, for example, I think I get tagged kind of the inspirational quite a lot, especially kind of going through the incident I did in my time in the military. And it led me and my coach to have a bit of a conversation around like almost like a chicken and egg, like, does having a life-changing, quite traumatic experience make someone quite resilient and quite motivated and quite get up and go and for the thirst of life?
Yeah.
Or are those the kind of people that put themselves in positions to have life-changing injuries in the first place? Because I think I've always been a bit of I've been quite highly driven since I was a young age. I've always had a thirst for life, and I like to get up, get on with the day and get on with life. And one thing you'll probably find out about me, and you know, my wife knows as well, is I'm not very good at taking no for an answer. Nice. I have never been. I like to, if I can't get the answer I'm looking for, I'll go and try and make one or find one. Or, you know, I always talk about in life, you know, you go and knock on doors and be unapologetically curious. And every now and then the door won't open, so you need to kick it in. Or if the door's not there, you need to blow a hole in the wall and make your own one. So, I think like I've always been quite kind of stubborn in the pursuit of bettering myself and getting the most out of life. And to be honest, you know, I think the kind of fundamental line that really changed that for me and has kind of underpinned the thirst and appreciation that I have for opportunity that comes my way is, my friend was killed in the incident that changed my life forever. And he died in the process of saving my life. And I think for me that going through that process personally, but also having suffered that significant loss,
of course,
it really I think just gives me that like really high floor of what life's all about.
Yeah.
And like every day you get up, you need to get on with it, because what an opportunity you have, and what a price that was paid for you to be here, to exist, to have crap days, but you still even on the hard days you can still have a bit of joy and a bit of get up and go. So I think, yeah, like not to get too dark too early, but like I think for someone who's at some point in their life genuinely felt like they breathed their last breath, that I at 21 years old I honestly thought it was over and I accepted it. Every breath you take afterwards just tastes a bit sweeter. There's just more light in the world and more light in your day, and I think it's it's quite liberating.
Mm-hmm. So beautifully put. I remember you saying something that you'd said, and it really stuck with me. You said you felt like you'd been born with a sense of duty. And I don't proclaim to know you very well, but what I understand of you is that, yes, you are driven and that you're incredibly hardworking, and you're talking about kicking the door in, and if there's no a door, make one. But also what I get from you is the humility. Even when you were talking to me that first time about your time in the military, you spoke about the communities that you met in Afghanistan, the people, the children. You're walking kids to school to make sure they're safe. You were talking about women and girls that weren't getting the same opportunities. That really struck a chord with me at the time, because you were there to do a job. You were there to serve your country. There is violence, there is terror, there is trauma involved. But what really stuck out for me is that was the thing that you mentioned to me, and it was just like you said it so nonchalantly, like that was my job and that was the purpose, and that really stuck with you, that role. And I was like, yeah, there's like such a human and a caring, like gentle human amongst this. Like, I mean, you're godlike in terms of what you've achieved and what you are still achieving today. That's what I found massively impressive about you, is that yes, there's all these like accolades and like go-getting attitude, but also like you're a decent human, and it seems like that sense of duty is lasted through all the things that you've achieved to date.
Oh, that's very, very kind of you to say, and yeah, it's something that really resonates with me. Is I think you have to find and see humanity in everything, because that's fundamentally at the end of the day what it's all about. Mm-hmm. And regardless of what your day-to-day role or job or mission or kind of what you're being asked to do, at the core of absolutely everything in this life is other humans and other connections. And the example about Afghanistan, I think we spoke before the quite dramatic evacuation, and when things really changed, when there was a whole kind of quite disastrous evacuation from Kabul, and it really inspired a lot of conversations about, was it really worth it, and what sort of country have we left, and the politics, and people were wading in with big ideas and rights and wrongs. And I think I was 21 when I was there, and I think you realise very quickly that you're part of something that's bigger than you are, and ideas and concepts and strategies that are way bigger than anything you can ever really control or perceive. But what you can do right now is be a good human, have an impact in whatever way you can on your little postage stamp of the world. The little things for me really are the big things. And if you can be, for example, for me, it was about identifying the needs of, in this case, it was young girls, young people, and giving them some sort of community, some sort of security, some structure, some love, and a bit of an experience that isn't scary and terrifying. And, and actually, that evacuation, it kind of kicked a lot of people. It changed a lot of people's mindset around the conflict. A lot of people's psychology went towards being a real waste, and they would be quite happy to impart that opinion with me, quite on a regular basis, which was quite hard to take.
That's tough, yeah.
And it made me do a lot of reflecting. And what I have taken away is, there's a photograph actually I have, one of the very few photos of me deployed. And I'm actually kind of passing out Haribo, or I'm having a high five or something with this young girl, and I remember she was absolutely one of the most beautiful wee people I've ever seen in my life, and I'll try not to get too emotional, but like she was 10 at the time, and I think she's going to be 25 now, and I often wonder what world she's grown up in, what life looks for her right now, and I just pray that my fleeting interactions or some sort of influence in her life has not made it worse, and if anything, hopefully had some sort of beacon for guidance or direction. Absolutely. Or even if it's expectations of what young women should be entitled to in a country that maybe doesn't share the same democratic freedoms as we do. You know what, you have to take that away and just hope that you done a tiny little bit of good and you planted some good seeds in what is a chaotic world.
Exactly. Yeah. The thing is, you have to sit with yourself at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And if you've done your best and and to think of the maturity that you had even thinking that way when you were over there, I can't imagine the scary. I mean, you had the training obviously, but you're 21 and you're dropped in this place that's just completely foreign and completely alien to you, and the concept of, and you're having to just realise that this might be life changing. In fact, it will be, and probably obviously not to the extent that you thought it was going to be. Do you know what I mean? But to then have that maturity of going, but I need to do good here for the people that live here, and I've got a role to do. Yes, and this, and my role is. In the parachute regiment, but equally it was about the humans on the ground for you, and I think that it really stood out to me, and I think if we can all just have that moment of kindness, that seems like a quite extreme version of, if somebody's listening to your story and like, well, I can't do that, I can't be that guy, but like small acts of kindness in everyday life go a long way.
Oh, massively. Like I truly believe, that at the end of the day, our humanity is the only thing that we really have. And to me, that the little things are the big things in life, and you can tell so much about people based on how they, do little things.
Yeah.
And like I think one of the beautiful things about, there's a really interesting book, a guy called Sebastian Jungler, and he wrote a book called Tribe, and it's about belonging, and it's why and one of the fundamental questions in it is, why do soldiers miss war? And it's not about the bombs and bullets and blood and gut, all the fast-paced stuff that I think we often associate with combat, but it's actually one of the only places in the world that we can still go to as humans where our existence becomes incredibly primal, because in an environment like that, you're stripped back of all the extra noise that comes with life, it comes with society, it comes with expectations, finances, all the fast-paced music of life, and you're just in this space where you have a lot of time in your own head. You're collective, you're part of a collective that's bigger than you are, and you align with one common purpose, and it's simply the most human one out there: survive. And I think the way that it strips back your senses and really makes an individual look deeper into themselves is, if you come through it unscathed, it's actually a very healthy experience. I know I'm not saying that everybody needs to get shipped off to a war zone for 6 months, but the thing that stood out to me the most, even at 21 years old, was the humanity. I met some of the most incredible humans who had nothing but presence, eye contact, their words, their conversation, the moments, because when they've not got anything else, really,
like
all the extra noise,
all gets stripped
it's
away.
all we have. So I think as a 21-year-old, that was a really kind of formative experience for me. And
I guess that kind of being your vibe attracts your tribe kind of thing, that would have came from your like rugby days as well, just being part of a team. Like being a part of a team seems important to you, although you have your own like personal goals, within life, but also as an athlete. But you want to feel like I think we just want to feel like we belong, that we fit in, that we're needed.
Oh, massively.
And, and that we have common ground with people.
Yeah, I think as humans, we belong in something we were really drawn to. We like to feel part of something that's bigger than we are, We're sitting in the centre of Glasgow, and you've got two of the biggest tribes, and it's like the football teams, and it's whatever people like, things that they can align with, an identity, something that's bigger than they are, and
so
for me, rugby was a great great vehicle, team sport in general, because it gave you like a collective belonging. You gave you responsibility not to let the collective down, but it also gave you incredible role models and individuals that kind of like could just guide you through some tough times and show you that you didn't have to figure it all out by yourself.
Yes.
So yeah, I think there's something really, really special about that.
So then it was it always the goal to serve in the military? Was that, you were like, that's what I'm going to do? I mean, I can't even imagine like telling your family, you were like, this is what I want to do, and they have to go, right, okay, cool. Yeah. Was there other people in your family that were in the military? Like,
I had a couple of uncles who served, who were, you know, they're always really good mentors to me. But I think for me, it was instinctive. It was something that was way more myself. And for me, it was like about service. I honestly believe that, you know, being part of something that's bigger than you are and having some sort of impact on your little world in any way you can, and obviously it comes with, you know, coming out of the scheme in Cumbernauld. It's a route out. It is a route out, and it gives young people structure. It gives them self-reliance. It gives them self-drive. The experiences I had were actually, you know, incredible.
Like to see the world and work with different people, and there's all that stuff that people just think, they just immediately think war, you know, and big guns, but you're like, no, there's so many skills, like transferable skills coming out of the military, like certainly, like you know, massively, and like my role is, when I did the Kennedy Cupcakes, like the dance troupe, we did a lot of military events, so I was in that world, and then I had a friend who was a Scots Guard, so like I kind of saw the other side of things. I was like, yeah, like he's massively skilled. He came out having all that, you know, these other skills and that camaraderie thing, that friendship thing.
Huge. You know, I think, you know, for a lot, especially young people, young people in general, a lot of young men too, like who come out of, you know, the education system, or maybe don't go into further education or higher education or straight into employment. Even if you do, I remember going off to Harrogate when I was 16 years old, and you spend a year at this Army Foundation College, and my family were very, you know, they were accepting, but they were very reluctant about me embarking on this journey. And I'd been quite a troubled soul when I was growing up in Cumbernauld. I'd been in and out of trouble a lot. I stayed in trouble. I stayed out in school by the skin of my teeth, and I had a lot of friends end up in prison, and like just there was distraction and violence on every corner you looked. And I went off to join the army. 15 and 9 months I signed up at, right? I went down to Queen Street.
I mean, that worked with 15-year-olds. I'm thinking of the kids that I work with.
I think the 15-year-olds of today are a wee bit different.
No one of your mum was reluctant.
But the thing is I went away and done the first 6 weeks at the Army Foundation College in Harrogate, and I think contrary to a lot of the belief, like it ain't about screaming and bawling and, you know, the kind of like what you would associate with the military. Like it's actually, you know, we talk about getting shouted and bawled at, but it's actually one of the most fair environments you would ever really work in, because there's not many other organisations where every single person in the building has done the job that you're currently doing.
Got you.
You know, if you're working in Tesco,
so everybody's in a level playing field in terms of understanding like, what that is, what the journey is.
Exactly. Whereas in a lot of civilian jobs, a lot of people just get employed. Right, I'm the manager.
True story.
And then they come and they're the boss.
Yes.
Whereas every sergeant major in the British Army has been a private.
They've got the T-shirt.
So actually there's a bit of a collective understanding of what it's all about. So there's a lot less of the friction and the screaming and bawling.
And then there's a respect there for people who have built up the ranks, you know.
Absolutely. So there's something quite good about that. And I remember my dad, who was very, very against me joining. I had a bit of an incident a year and a half in, and I actually came out for a bit. But I remember my dad and I were standing at this jobs fair and looking for work, and this guy outside the army stand was like, my son's no joining, I'm not letting him do that. And my dad, who was the most reluctant, pulled the guy aside and went, I was you a year ago.
Gosh.
But this experience has turned my boy around. And, you know, even if you spend 6 weeks at that place, you're not like, you will, for every day for the rest of your life, you'll get up, you'll shave your face, you'll dress yourself, you'll make your bed, you'll get up and you get on with the day regardless of what's going on. And I think there's a quiet determination and a self-respect that comes. You know, we talk about respect and discipline in the armed forces, but the biggest forms of those they teach or self-respect, self-discipline.
Amazing.
Look after yourself, have a drive, get up, have a bit of resilience, like be able to take a couple of knocks and move forward.
Yes.
And I think there's some nice transferable skills that are in that world that are really becoming more and more valuable in today's life. It's something that I'm glad I had those experiences.
That's why I think you would make an exceptional life coach mentor for young people. Like I'm just giving you another job. Do you know what I mean? Like you've not got enough. I mean, we've not even scratched the surface yet in terms of what you're up to and what you've been up to recently. Because of that, like just the life that you've led and the principles that you've upheld, despite everything that's happened to you, and the things that you've achieved, but you just get up and you get on with it. And I think there's a lot, in this day and age, there is so much distraction and so much negativity. And I mean, gosh, I know you're a dad now, like bringing young people, like wee people into the world, like this world. And you're like, right, well, how are we going to how can we make this a good world for you? And how can we set you up for that? And, and I work with young people, and sometimes I worry, the social media thing. And social media is great, but it's also, there's the traps of online and what's real and AI and all that. And I think just the things that you're talking about just now, like the grounding almost, like of you have to respect yourself before you can do anything else. Do you know what I mean? Like you have to look after yourself and know your self-worth and understand who you are. I feel like you're the kind of person who knows who you are. And that's a huge, inspiration to me, because, as somebody who's never quite sure who they are, like somebody like you, I'm like, Scott's just going after it and knows who he is, and you're just principled. I'm waffling on, but I think a lot of young people especially could learn a thing or two just from the life that you've lived. I'm just giving you another job. Could you just come and inspire the youth of today,
just
please?
Change the world. That'd be great. Thanks.
That'd be great. Thanks very much.
Thanks in advance.
I mean, I don't want to fast forward too far, because you need your own podcast as well. I'm just saying that. So this life-changing event happens, just this day where your whole world gets turned upside down. And I remember you saying to me, you were the blast had happened, and you were like, oh, I've died. This is me dying. And then the next minute you're tourniqueting your legs, and the next minute you're in Birmingham and you're recovering. And how the hell do you then pick up your life and become an incredible athlete and achieve the things you've achieved, Scott? How do you do that? Where does that strength come from? Where does that inner strength come from?
I think that it all goes back, the drive for me is it's purpose and its ability to control what's directly in front of you and your wee world. I guess it goes back to that concept about Afghanistan.
Nobody would blame you for just going, do you know what? I've had it really, really hard, and I'm sure that's not to say that, I'm sure there's been days and months and years where things have been dark and hard, but yeah, I just find you massively, I'm in awe of you. I really am, and I'm sure you hear that all the time. Because you then went on to do insane things, Invictus Games, Winter Olympics, the Paralympics, that's the best that we can be. And so again, was that did somebody say, right, that you could do this? Or was that you going, I think I'm going to give that a go? How does that conversation start? I think I'm going to become a Nordic skier. I mean, receiving you to, I didn't even know, hands up, I didn't even know what that was. It's wild.
So I guess, it's about, when you go back to that kind of AI question into the chat about kind of young people, it's, absolutely. It all comes together. But I think something that I've spent a lot of time doing is wondering who I am and what I am and what is my purpose. And something that, we talk about just imparting on to young people, and actually what's becoming more and more of a rare commodity in this life is authenticity and
here.
Inward looking, inward thinking, and real. You cannot fake real. You can't bang real into ChatGPT and get it to make it better for you.
So true.
So there'll come a point where our authenticity and our absolute presence is the rarest gem. And that's something, you know, as a father, as a person, I try to promote or like create in myself. You know, we're all guilty of it. We fall into traps, but if you can come back to what it's all about and connect with other people.
And owning that, like owning your authenticity and be like, this is me, warts and all, like take me as you find me.
Exactly, and being at peace with that, like, and then coming into like kind of rehabilitation and the journey into sport, like one of the things about Headley Court was, I think I might have told you this story before, but the category of wounded that we were called unequivocal saves or unexpected survivors. We were products of medical like progress, because 5 years earlier we wouldn't have survived the injuries that we were. So we were having guys with traumatic double above knee, triple amputees, a lot of really, really complex trauma. And when we turned up to this rehab centre, and there's just like a building full of maimed paratroopers and Royal Marines, highly motivated, young, mainly men, but a lot of women as well, who were like, I'm not lying down to this. I'm not going to let life. And we were asking big questions of the staff there. We were asking big questions of prosthetics companies to develop legs that we wouldn't break. And one of the kind of underpinning moments for me was an admission from one of our physios, who was the head of kind of rehab. Okay. He said that while all these, we were getting in there with grand ideas, we had guys who wanted to climb Mount Everest and walk to the North Pole and do all these amazing things. And Major Pete Lafouth pulled his multidisciplinary rehab team around the table. Mm-hmm. And Headley Court's this big country manor. It doesn't look like a hospital. It's like a country estate. Think Downton Abbey, but for amputees running about. It's mental. Wow. Great place. But he pulled his team around the table and said, we need to be there to help these young people manage their expectations. Okay. Like, they've got all these grand plans and it's all going to come tumbling down, and we need to help them manage their expectations when it all does. Okay. And he admitted that 6 months later, he pulled the same team around the table and said, we need to adjust our expectations of what these people can achieve. And there was a tangible shift in the way that our rehab was run. Because they went from standing at the top of the stairs going, right, Scott, up you come, back down, use the handrail, to, what do you want to do? Do you want to hit a golf ball? Do you want to shovel some stones? Do you want to run down that hill? Do you want to go and play football with your kids? Like, they'd set us, we would set outrageous goals, and they would just kind of stand behind us with the right support, put it in place, of course, the right structure around it, and be there to pick us back up when it all fell apart, which it would. But they let us dream. They let us dream big. They let us fail. They let us push prosthetics to the limit. They let us break them. They let us just sky's the limit thinking. And that experience was truly special, but it was incredibly formative for me, because it helped me shake off the kind of boxing or the pigeonholing of like expectations and what I can possible achieve. Now. Of course. And when I went into my sport, you know, I started in a very structured British programme, but I've embarked on the sport of Nordic skiing, and this sport is one of the physically hardest brutal sports in the world. You watch footage and I'm like, that's wild. So it's hardcore. Trust you to pick the hardest thing. That's what it's all about. You know? If you're nothing but on brand. Do you know what I mean? You're like, what's the hardest thing we can do? Yeah. That's the one we're going for. Amazing. There was a slogan in the parachute regiment, is that paratroopers never take the easy option. You know, we never take the lazy route. I remember you saying that regiment for you was like the pinnacle, to be part of that regiment, because they are the best of the best. Like, exactly. Like that. And that's just, you've just continued on that train of like, let's go for the best. Let's go for the hardest. And I think when I went on the journey into the sport, there was no programme that existed in the UK. Have you seen Eddie the Eagle? Yes. Right. So when I first floated the idea of like cross-country skiing, there wasn't a programme, there was no athletes, there was no coaches, there was no setup, and the Institute of Sport were like supportive, but like treating me a wee bit like I was trying to find a way to go to the Olympics, and it was like, they were like, just because you're the only one doesn't mean we're going to pick you. Right. And they were telling me, there's no such thing as a free tracksuit. And I'm like, if I wanted a free tracksuit, I would have picked skiing uphill with my arms. You know? Totally. But what was really special about it is like the fearlessness that I had learned in the rehab world. It just gave me this inability to, like, when I met those closed doors or those barriers or those like hesitations, I was happy to go, don't worry, I'm going to pick it up and run with it, see where we end up. And, you know, I was pulled the right people around a coffee table, people who were willing to dare to dream together, floated the idea, took it international. We reached out abroad to get coaches, to expertise. We're curious. And what was really great about it is I went on this journey into sport that wasn't just a athletic journey, but it was also the conception and growth of a world-class programme and governing body as well. So it was kind of running in parallel with the growth of the organisation.
Yes, the pioneer of that.
Yeah, and it was so exciting to be part of, because I was like, felt at times I was the big machete out trying to cut my way through a jungle.
Of course.
But then I was like, we're going to lay a road, we're going to make it a tarmac road, we're going to make this path smooth and bright for everyone else to follow. And,
correct.
And set some really high standards for others to follow. And what was really special about that experience is I was in an organisation from the ground floor. So there was no existing structure. So we got to build, especially the culture of what we done. And from the very beginning, it was like an experiment in high performance sport, because I think sometimes it's easy in elite sport to have win at all costs, performance at all costs, and it doesn't matter how many corners you cut, how many heads you need to stand on, you win at all costs.
Right.
And I think that fundamentally, I don't believe that there's a positive experience or outcome through that sporting experience by working that way. Yeah. You might win.
That doesn't surprise me with you.
But you'll maybe win alone.
Yeah.
And whereas I feel if you invest in, I fundamentally believe that better humans make better athletes. And someone's experience in sport should essentially be giving them experiences and tools to be a better contributor and member of their society or their community as a result of that experience.
Well, it's that analogy of, like, you know, how many people you've got to stand on to get to the top. You'll know all about it when you're on the way back down.
Yeah, is it Harry Redknapp? Was it said it? Yeah, you meet them all on the way back down again.
Exactly. Yeah.
So be nice to everyone you meet on the way up.
Correct.
And I think from day one we were fundamentally about good humans, good values, good behaviours, and it created this really tight, inward-facing group of people who would help each other along the journey, would share resources, would take others along with us. And that's infectious. People want to be part of it. Yeah. We became one of the smallest nations in the world, but became one of the most respected and connected on the World Cup circuit. We go on camps with international teams. Like, what was an idea in a coffee shop grown into an established sport that's now represented Great Britain at 3 Paralympic Games consecutively. And I also wanted to prove that these good values-based, elite sports wasn't just participation either. I wanted to set high standards. I wanted to get to the top, and it started off with being, get to the games. Mm-hmm. Then it became, I want to be the top of the bottom group, top of the middle third. Yeah. And then it was about being the best performing non-snow nation. Because you look outside here, we've got no snow. And folk see me roller skiing through Cumbernauld and think I've lost my mind. So it was about trying to be the best performing non-traditional snow nation. And then, in 2022, 23, I started getting to a place where I could actually think higher than that. And we started thinking about medals. Mm-hmm. And it was really, really exciting. But the way that to be world class at what I was doing, you couldn't. And I'm a big rugby fan. Mm-hmm. And there's a phrase in rugby of, if you've ever seen the Fijian rugby team play, Fiji are just like the Harlem Globetrotters of rugby. The way they play, the character, the enthusiasm, the way they throw the ball about, it's magic. Yes. There's a phrase in rugby is, you can't out Fiji.
Got you.
Don't try and emulate what they're doing. And just do it less. Got it. So for me, it's a little bit like, don't try and out Norway, in these big Nordic countries. Yes. When I'm doing it in Cumbernauld.
Right, uh-huh.
So what was really special about that is it gave me the opportunity to kind of fundamentally look inside and build this like training philosophy, training program that was like based on my motivations, my environment, my time, you know, and it became incredibly personal to me.
Yeah, of course.
And it was about trying to lean on the strengths that I had and trying to create a unique training philosophy and training identity that aligned with my values and also was authentic, 100% mine. And it worked. You know, when you can go to a World Cup or go to a World Championships and you see Norway doing their thing and you do all these other countries who are, and it's easy as an athlete sometimes to go, oh, what are they up to? I need to start doing more of that.
Comparison's the thief of joy though, eh?
Whereas you've just because you've done every hour
you've
of
done the work,
and you've like taken the time to know yourself and your why and what you're doing and why you're doing it, you sit with the peace. You might not win every race and you're not going to get it right all the time. And you have to have a kind of quite a flexible learning mentality. But the peace that comes with knowing that every ounce of what you've done to work towards that goal is yours.
Yeah.
You can't fake real. Yes. And the peace that comes with it is phenomenal. So yeah, I'm really, really proud of the sporting journey that I've been on. I think sports are an incredible vehicle to become a better version of yourself every day. And you talk about how it all started. This didn't start as an aspiration to be an elite sportsman. It actually started when I was at probably one of my lowest points. You know, I came out of the armed forces. I was so well supported. I was compensated. I was housed. I was given the support that's available for a lot of our armed forces is actually phenomenal.
I know you're an ambassador for Erskine.
Erskine
which is an
Veterans
amazing charity. Yeah. I've done a lot of work for.
I could talk about Erskine all day. They set world-class standards for veterans and talk about an organisation that can be flexible and adapt with the times and the needs of their people, and that's why they've been around since 1916. They're amazing.
Correct. Yeah, they are amazing.
And but I had all the right support, but I got put in this veterans house in Airdrie, and I was plopped in there, and I was away from my pack.
Yeah,
I was away from my community. It was the first time in my life I'd really been alone, and I was alone with this like life-changing disability as well. And that's probably the point when you're like, you know, do you remember Jeremy Kyle? I was like cracking a can of Stella on, you know, when Jeremy Kyle was on, because I had nothing else to do. I had time and I had income, and I could stay on the couch for the rest of my life and be kind of supported for it.
And nobody's going to question it.
And because you're a guy who's just lost his legs in a war, nobody's ever going to hold you accountable.
No.
But I knew that I needed a purpose. I needed a reason to go out of bed in the morning. I needed something to get me up and going. And sport had been my compass when I was younger.
Yes.
You know, sport was that rugby was what kept me from getting in trouble, got me out the scheme, you know, kept me out of a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
And I think that radar, that North Star that sport was for me was what I fell back onto.
Yeah.
And I reached out to a guy called John Blair, who's from Wishaw, who was a coach at the Scottish Rowing Centre. Brilliant. John Blair is just one of the most incredible humans you'll ever meet. He's a guy from Wishaw who is boxing's his background.
Okay.
But he was trying to teach me to row.
Right.
So it was trying to, like, these two sports contrast so much, but the chemistry of like that kind of fighter's mentality was just, it's exactly what I needed. So I phoned John Blair and I said, I'm going to turn up to Strathclyde Park every day. I don't really know what you're going to tell me to do, but I'm going to do what you tell me. Yeah. And some days we'd turn up, we'd train, we'd go out in the water, he taught me to row. Some days we'd train in the gym. Other days he'd look at me, we'd clean the place as well. Other days he'd look at me and go, I think we'll just have a wee cup of tea and a chat today. And
John Blair sounds like good people.
John Blair's one of the good guys.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of incredible people who've come across his company on the way, and he's helped them on their journey. And what was really special about John was he didn't see, this was at the height of kind of London 2012.
Okay.
A lot of Paralympic attention.
Okay, yeah.
You know, I would go to sports clubs and Paralympic trial days, and everyone was trying to cherry pick the next big talent. Everyone wanted to, they could see path to Paralympics.
Yes.
And I actually had some quite negative experiences from that. You know, I went along to an athletics club once with the new running blades, and at the time I was a bit overweight, and I just said, "Can I come and run at your club?" And the guy actually went, "I don't really have time for you unless you're going to be my next Paralympic superstar," which he at the time couldn't see me having the potential to do that. So he actually shut a door to me participating in sport. It'd be like you turning up to your first dance lesson and somebody being like, "I can't see you going to the Olympics, so we're just not going to bother."
Jeez, oh.
So there's some barriers to parasport that the Paralympics actually can encourage.
Yes.
Because people only see the elite side.
Gosh.
But what was different with John is John just seemed human who needed a purpose, and he didn't care about the accolades or where it could take him, and that's what made it so special.
Because his values aligned with yours. Because that's
Exactly.
who you are.
Yep. And he's seen a human who needed to go on a journey to get to know themselves, and he was there to help me do that.
And I'm sure he had an amazing experience working with you. It's not one-sided.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you collect all these amazing people along the way, but like what you do for somebody, you've got to realise they're doing that for you as well. Vice versa, it goes both ways. Do you know what I mean? It's that connection and collaboration and going, we're going to do a thing together. Yeah. And even if it is have a cup of tea and a chat, that can be life-changing. That cup of tea and a chat.
I've had some very, very life-changing
this
coffee.
podcast. Do you know what I mean? This has changed my life.
Yeah.
This has changed my life.
Yeah.
And it's just seeing the value in that and making time and space for people and not poo-pooing their big dreams and big goals, because, you're right here in front of me. Anything's possible. Everything's possible and more. And you just, yes, you need that self-belief. And look, your self-belief just is so incredibly inspiring. Like, and the fact, like, you were like, no, I deserve this. Which I think, as a Scottish person, sometimes we're bad at, like, oh, no me. You were like, how not? Why not me?
Yeah.
But also, it's all the people along the way that go, do you know what? Yeah, you can see that madcap idea you've got.
Yep. I'll get on this.
You could do that. Like, the guys here at Up Next, like, studios, that's what they do for me. They're like, yeah, you can make a podcast. I'm like, right, okay, cool. Well, right, we'll give it a go. And when in those moments, I'm sure, of doubt, self-doubt, 'cause there will have been so many. There have been all those people like John who went, oh, let's just keep going.
Yeah. And I guess when you build what you do on such solid foundations as well,
yes,
when you do reach setbacks, you're like, nah, this isn't how it ends. Like,
no,
because I'm not in this for the end goal. I'm in this because I'm on a journey.
Yes.
And I think as an athlete, understanding that the things you learn on the bus all the way along the road and the journey and where it takes you and who it takes you in front of, that'll teach you way more than what a wee gold medal on your neck will.
yeah.
You know, there's
you're like, that's nice.
Yeah,
that
great,
gold medal's
and
nice,
everybody wants it. But trust me,
yeah.
the value comes from the hard yards, the people, the journey, the beautiful moments, and I think when you reach those sticking points or those setbacks, you know what your foundations are built on, and it doesn't mean that the house of cards comes down completely. No. You know, you just
trust the process, innit?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful for so many of the people that were willing to kind of dream at the very start and see the reason behind this, and it was a purpose. It was a journey rather than a I want to track you and I want to win.
Aye,
you know,
totally. But for them as well, like your resilience, your determination, that's inspiring to them. So, like, I understand why those good people want to be on that bus with you.
Yeah,
because they're like, we're going to experience something great for us as well. Do you know what I mean? It's like a collective thing. It's going back to that tribe mentality.
Massively,
again.
and it is. It's like I'm fundamentally in an individual sport, but it is such a team, and like you just connect. You're on this kind of, I call it the bus, you know, and I say, like, you know, when because I think as an athlete you come in for great attention, but also some, like, not criticism, but folk can point out when you stumble, and they don't really understand what goes into it, and I kind of, when we've got our little team, we talk about how we connect, we communicate on a different level, because you can essentially say everything and anything as long as it's like for the betterment of the group.
Yes,
we're just so transparent.
Yep.
We often don't even need to say words because we're so aligned.
You're just tuned in.
And we talk about the bus being that kind of on the road to the games. It's going to stop sometimes, and some people will come on, but then they might be part of the journey for a bit, and then we'll get to a point where we'll go, thanks.
That's been lovely, thank you.
Off you pop.
Totally.
And then you need to remain curious, but not being too disheartened or open to some of the you know, when stones and when things come in from folk or maybe aren't on the journey with you, but love to throw comments or sweeping assumptions and it gives you just that little level of protection against doubt.
You're not on the bus, sorry.
Yeah. And some people who come in because you need to remain curious, because the minute you think you've got it all figured out, you're going to stumble.
Yeah, so I guess you invite people on the bus that maybe weren't right, or were right now, but not forever.
Yeah, not forever.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
Definitely
That's
been a really
life,
useful.
Isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, and we're all on a wee bus and we've all got a wee tribe. So yeah.
I'd like my bus just to stop for 5 minutes. That'd be lovely.
Yeah.
So what has life looked like for you most recently? Like, so I was saying, like, we met online in 2020. You weren't even a dad. Yeah, now you have like 2 wee people in your life. And all the while you did a degree as well. I mean, just because you didn't do enough, you've done it. So your degree was it sports?
Oh, history.
No.
Yep.
Was it?
Yeah. So
How did I miss that memo?
I'm just a total history. I got brought up watching, like, getting dragged round Stirling Castle and all this.
Lovely,
and grew up watching, like, Sharp.
So
that
again,
was my childhood TV.
Right, yeah. So curiosity again.
And I think I went on the education journey. Again, this is a lot to do with belief, because as somebody who grew up in Kilbrain, really didn't have a good experience at school. Really didn't. And I think if you tell somebody they're daft enough, they'll believe you. And that was me. And I felt that I was in a place where I'd been able to achieve so much, and I felt like I'd held a master's degree at the University of Life, but I still didn't back myself to write a well-structured email or write my name. And I had this like wee dafty in my head that was like, you can't do this. So I'd kind of squirreled away over a few years doing the Open University access courses, and then come lockdown time, I thought I could all the right credits, and I threw everything that, going in and doing a full-time degree.
Amazing.
And the reason why I studied history is it's a passion of mine, but also it was a great escape from sport. I think if I studied sport while I was doing sport,
it's like a busman's holiday. Talking on the bus.
Exactly. Yeah. Whereas I think like history was great for me because it was just a world where I could step away from, because high performance sports all consuming, and I could focus on something completely different that was helping me grow in a different direction, parallel with my career. And it was a great way to humble you, because there was a time when I was in Finland at a World Cup, and I had the race of my life, and I had a queue of Russian athletes. They were at the top of the sport at the time, and I'd taken a couple of scalps that day, and as I walked off the snow, the Russian guys came up and shook my hand and said, "Good race," and I was like, I felt on top of the world, because that doesn't happen often. That was quite high praise from those guys.
Yes, of course.
But I was like, I was like the cat that got the cream. I was buzzing. I was like, on top of the world. I went and had my lunch, and then I logged into this like online lecture in the afternoon, and I was getting grilled on like Mary Queen of Scots. And I got my Marys mixed up. So I'm giving this whole spiel about Mary such and such in this year, and my tutor was like, "You're about 200 years out there, Scotty," and it just brings you straight back down there.
Okay, yeah. Do you know what I just did this afternoon before I won this team's call, by the way?
So that was the beautiful thing about it, is it just was such and the other way around, I could have the worst day in sport, but be moving forward and do my dissertation.
Yeah.
So I think it really complemented, but also what it did, that degree for me really helped me gain a sense of belief and it chased away the ghosts of my childhood of the daft lad who
that validation.
And I probably had to just do that to prove it to myself, but I'm so proud, and I've got two incredible kids. I started my degree without children, finished it with 2, and I'm so blessed. And I think the last few weeks for me, I went to my 3rd Paralympic Games, crossed the finish line in front of my family on the last day. I was going to say race most of the games in the sun, but actually it was pouring rain on the final day, which was it was just like an awful annexure, so it was kind of great.
You're like,
I know this, yeah. And retired from full-time sport, which was just, for me, I've come with
what does that feel like?
Peace. Great, like I'm at peace with it. I've done it on my terms.
Yeah.
I've went and I've lived the journey, and I'm so proud of the levels I've achieved, the places I've been, the things I've learned. And the last few years, my family have been my biggest supporters. You know, my wife and kids have, you know, they've been the ones that, you know, doing the long hours when I'm away at training camps, who are in the stands cheering me on, supporting me. And I think finally crossing that finish line, for me now, my purpose and my role is to be role reversal and be their biggest supporter, be the school run, doing the football dad, you know, just be
and
there
all that stuff
for
is
their dreams,
awesome.
like help them.
What an adventure that is.
And they'll probably, you know, they'll only know me when I'm old and fat and be like, you were never an athlete, Dad, what are you talking about? But
I don't see that in your future. I think you're, knowing you're going to be up to all sorts.
But thanks goodness for social media, because I can show them that I was actually no bad at something once.
This actually did happen, by the way. And are there always goals ticking along in the background of, like, you know, because you have the same drive as you've always had, I think, you know, just to better yourself, to be curious, to be adventurous, to meet new people. So is there new goals now in place, or are you just in that phase of, let's see what the universe presents? A
little bit. It's about just being still and allowing space for things to kind of be revealed to me. And I think I didn't have to wait very long. You know, there's a lot of opportunities, and I've got a lot of really good people in my life that hopefully have been a lot of part of the journey. And what my passion lies probably not so much in like coaching sport or anything like that, but I think in the betterment of people. So there's a few things I'd like to do in terms of just like helping people be the best version of themselves, but also having some room in my life where I can reach out to some folk who maybe aren't getting the right help they need in life or the right direction, or maybe don't have the most positive role models. I'm really passionate about that. I'd like to, you know, spend some time with, you know, seeing where people are maybe coming out the other end of school or the wrong end of school, or getting into the criminal justice system, or just finding people that I can
see that 100%.
connect with. And so yeah, it's a bit of a live document at the moment.
Because what also impresses me about you is you're so eloquent. Mm-hmm. Like the way that you describe your life and the way you feel, and the ethos, and the way that you just embrace everything that comes your way. Like the way you can describe that, it's so inspiring, it's so motivational, because it's one thing doing the thing and like proof's in the pudding. Like we can see that you've done it, but the way you describe it, the way you speak about it, it's so motivating. So I mean, can you just call me every day and just get me motivated? I'm like, be more, Scott.
Good morning, Lisa.
Get out of bed. Eat a breakfast. Yeah. Drink some water. I mean, that's one of the basics here. One of the basics.
Little things, big things.
Exactly. I don't know what else to say other than, and it feels like a bit cliche and but it comes from a total genuine place. Like, I was excited to meet you in real life. I knew that when I met you, I would feel what I felt when I met you online. But seeing you in person and understanding more what the journey has been the last 6 years, like, you're just brilliant.
Thank you.
Like, the words get bandied about, like, inspiring, but it honestly is, like, you can do anything. And you've done it, and you've yet to do more. And, like, I just know whatever you do next, like, I'm excited for the people that are getting on the bus. Because they're so lucky to go on your bus. So lucky to go on your bus. And those two wee people that you've brought into the world.
I'm so proud of them.
How amazing are they going to be? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I want them to dream unapologetically. I want them to be unequivocal. I want them to kick doors in. I want them to dream big. And, you know, and if I could, my part of my drive towards the back end of my sporting career is that maybe one day they'll look back and go, well, he wasn't scared to rattle a few cages and make it happen. So, I think fundamentally I've realised that you've got to try and do what you can with what you've got in life. And we all get our deal. We all have highs and lows. We're in the mountains and the valleys, and it's like you've got to get up. And actually, one of the best bits of advice I ever had, this old boy, Bert McIntosh, who's a phenomenal businessman from Aberdeen.
Okay.
I once went to a school and we gave a kind of double talk to these school kids, and I got up and I talked all about, you know, life and setbacks, and I spent about half an hour waffling about all sorts, and it was very Churchillian. Bert McIntosh stood up and went, no matter what you're facing in life, no matter what's going on, you get out of your bed and you get on with the job.
Yes,
End of talk. And I was like,
mic drop. That's it.
That's
Do that.
it.
Do
yeah,
that.
Yeah. So be more Bert. And that Bert
more
inspires
Bert.
me every day. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't thank you enough for doing this for the second time. It is so lovely to see you in real life. I'm just excited to see what you got up to next. I feel very privileged that you are in the Braw Brave clan. You are the epitome of what it means to be Braw and Brave.
I'm very proud to be part of the
If I
community.
only did one podcast episode, it would fill me like greatly to think that if somebody's listening to this conversation and gets an ounce of motivation, inspiration, like sees the day from our conversation, from hearing what you've got to say and the things that you've done, like that for me is like tick the box. Boom, we've done our job. But Scott Meenagh, you are Braw and Brave.
As are you. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
pal.
Thanks, Lisa.